Welcome to another edition of Preaching Pointers. And today I'd like just to spend a couple of minutes thinking about this subject that we have on screen, the preacher, the Bible, and revelation. What do we mean by revelation? Well, revelation simply means something that has been unveiled. That is, something that was previously hidden has now been made known. That thing has been revealed. It's no longer a secret. It is now being made known. And when we think of revelation from a Christian point of view, we're thinking about this fact that God has revealed himself to us. God has made known to us what he's like as a person, and his plans and his purposes. The Bible is clear to tell us. So, for example, in the Gospel of John and chapter 1, verse 18, it tells us there, no one has seen God at any time. If we were to read in 1 Timothy chapter 1 and verse 17, it tells us that God is immortal, but it also tells us that he is invisible. Later on in that letter in 1 Timothy chapter 6 and verse 16, we read these words that God dwells in unapproachable light, whom no one has seen or can see. So if God is someone who is invisible, God is spirit, he's invisible, he is not someone that we can see or understand, naturally speaking, how do we know what he's like? How do we know what his plans and purposes are? Well, we know because he, out of his love, has chosen to reveal that to us. He has chosen to reveal to us what he is like. He has chosen to reveal to us his plans and purposes. So if he has chosen to reveal himself to us in that way, where has he revealed that information to us? Well, he's revealed that information to us in the Bible. He's revealed that information to us in the scriptures. The Bible contains the record of God's general revelation to us. It contains the record of what he is like. It contains the record of his plans and his purposes. It also contains the record, if you like, of any other valid sources of revelation. So, for example, if we were to read in the Gospel of John and chapter 1 and verse 18, that verse I quoted earlier, where it says no one has seen God at any time, but it goes on to say that the only begotten of the Father, that is Jesus Christ, has made him known. In Hebrews chapter 1 and verse 3, we are told Christ is the express image of God's person. So in other words, that Christ is a source of revelation, that Christ makes known to us what God is like. But we only know that Christ is a source of revelation to us of what God is like because the scripture tells us, because God has revealed that to us in his word. We're also told, for example, in Romans chapter 1, these words. For his, that is God's invisible attributes, namely his eternal power and divine nature, have been clearly perceived ever since the creation of the world in the things that have been made. So what God is telling us there is we can see something of God's attributes, we can see something of his Godhead, of his nature in creation. So creation is a source of revelation of what God is like. But that we only know that the creation is a valid source of revelation about God because God confirms it for us in his word, in the Bible, in the scriptures. So the Bible is our source of revelation about God, his plans, and his purposes, his person, who he is, But the scripture will also validate for us and confirm for us if there are other sources of revelation that confirm what God is like or his plans and purposes. And so when we're looking for a source of revelation about God, about his plans and purposes, we have one source for that, the Bible. We should not be looking anywhere else. And if we are looking outside the Bible, the only places we should be looking are those places, those sources that the Bible itself, that God himself confirms for us. For example, creation. So as a preacher, when we're teaching about God, when we're teaching what he is like, when we are teaching about his plans and purposes, we have just one source for that information, and that is the Bible. And we need to stick to that source and not look outside that source for other so-called sources, which in reality are not sources at all. Our revelation of God, of what he is like in his person, his plans and purposes, are contained for us in the Bible. It is God's written revelation to us. So I thank you again for listening to another edition of Preaching Pointers. If you found that useful, then please like this video and subscribe to the channel. Thank you for listening.